So the last talk today is by Eliza, who's the book and paper conservator at the UVA Libraries, and myself, and I work at the National Air and Space Museum. And as I said, we talk often and chat and text, and found out that each other really loves their iPhones, and we started comparing which apps we had for our iPhone, and really thought it'd be fun to do a sort of short techie talk, even though I'm very not techie, everybody knows. Eliza's more so, on the apps that we found useful on our phone. And I'm doing a lot of gallery work right now downtown, even though my labs are in a different location, and I take my phone with me, and I found a lot of utilities I can use on site, which is really nice. So Eliza has a couple iPads and Android tablets that she's gotten from work that we're going to pass around. If you have an iPhone or a Droid phone, I'm probably not saying that correctly, you can pull that out because we're passing around a sheet of paper. The apps I'm going to go over, I actually found for my iPhone, but the contractor that's working with me has a Droid phone, and today she was able to find a list of similar apps and what they're called for the Droid, so you all will have the same information for both. And a lot of them were very similar. The one thing I have to say is searching is a little bit weird. The iStore seems to group things under different types of headings, like utilities, reference, education, professional. So you have to kind of look through all the headings if you're kind of looking for things that you don't know are out there. If you have a name of something, you can certainly search by that. So the easiest would be like flashlight, if you had a flashlight. And this is what you're going to see on the iStore screen. There's probably like 30 apps for flashlights. So don't think these are the only ones, they're just examples. But basically you're going to get this, and then if you have an iCloud, which my husband put on my phone, I have no clue what it is, but essentially, basically it means that anything I do on my phone and PC kind of talk to each other. So I search on my laptop at home because I find this a little bit hard to search on, but it will then just download onto here with an app. So the flashlight works really well. I have tried that. So I'm going to go through, first off, utilities, which are kind of apps that are useful for doing something. And then we can play a little bit. So I'll just kind of go quickly. So that would probably be called the same thing with the Droid. The pocket light meter is what Eliza and I got really excited about, because this is what we started talking about, is that you basically can use the camera on the back of an iPhone to do light readings and in Lux. So you basically can just put your phone in the gallery. The camera is on the front and back of the phone, so you can alternate between the two if you're trying to get the light coming down versus the light under something, and just put your phone out. We've compared it to...
In the Android, the free app is called Cam Light Meter, BEE Cam Light Meter. And as Lisa said, searching for apps can be really tricky, and what I would say is if you don't find something 1 week, wait a couple weeks and go searching again. Apps move very quickly and people are developing things, or it could be that something catches on and all of a sudden it gets bumped up in the user rating, and so the worthwhile app that was sort of down at the bottom of the search list will come up a little higher and you'll be more likely to find it.
And also the iPad has a lot of cool things, as Amber pointed out this morning, that you probably wouldn't view on a phone and vice versa. So sometimes you'll see an app and it'll say it's for the iPad versus the iPhone, which I didn't know was different, but there are some that are specifically made for the different products. So the next one is a magnet meter. So you actually can hold this over something and get a magnet sort of sense. It hasn't really... I've tried it and it does work over things that are magnetic. I wouldn't say that it's completely accurate to the sense of a pole or anything, but you do get a sense of if things are magnetic on a metal.
What I found for that was the magnetometer, and again, I was just searching over the past week after I got this Android tablet.
There's also one for Droid that will do that called a tricorder.
Tricorder. Okay, see?
Thank you.
As a conservator, not all of us would think to look for a tricorder.
That quarter, Q-A-R-T-R, or quarter as in T-R-I.
As in Star Trek.
I have to say for the pocket light meter too, they use it a lot in photography. So you can actually meter through it for, I forgot to mention that, for aperture and f-stop, as well as using it as a light meter to measure lux. Erin?
Have you tested it against your
Yes.
storefront light meter?
Yes.
Yeah, and I brought
But it's
an
fine.
LSEC light meter. So again, when we're playing around at the end of the session, people can see what the difference is. What I've found is that, of course, the LSEC is much more accurate, but it also, you have to practice with this and figure out how to point it, how to aim it, so that you're actually reading the same spot in the same way. The nifty thing about the light meter apps is that you can connect them to your Dropbox account so that it will email your results or connect your results to your PC or your Mac, whatever your home computer is, or your Dropbox account in the cloud.
And it's definitely accurate enough if you weren't to have your light meter suddenly and you needed to sort of get a general sense of something being, you know, within a range of lux. The dot measure, this is a little bit tricky as well. It does measure distance from yourself, but you have to program, and it's not difficult, but wherever you're holding your phone, you have to program that up from the floor. So like if, you know, you're holding it always at your waist, you're going to want to measure sort of 3 feet or whatever that is into your phone, so when you're getting the measurement to where you're going, it's accurate. And that was the only thing I found a little bit tricky about this particular app, but I thought it was clever. Then there's the level, which I think a lot of people knew about. A lot of times these level, now this was under productivity, so this is a whole other category too. So if there's a lot of categories they like to put things under, but this one comes with a couple different types of programs in one. Like you'll get the level, the plumb bob, and some other ones all in the same actual package. So.
And there are a whole bunch of free level applications for the Droid.
This one's nice. We were hanging paintings in the gallery the other day and this seemed to work, the angle meter. So we were playing around with that. So this is another kind of cool tool that you can use to sort of angle out from things with your iPhone. This is my favorite because I count box tops for my school and I can no longer see the expiration dates. So I know it's time to give up my volunteer position when it's getting a little difficult at night. But I think we actually have another one, a magnifier that I found with a light as well. So this is really kind of cool just if you have to sort of look at something very closely. Or I actually used it because somebody sent me out to look at an engine plate in a plane in the cowling and I couldn't reach, so I kind of put my phone in there. Like was looking with the magnifier, trying to look at it, and then actually took a picture with my iPhone, like in a place where I just didn't have a ladder to look inside the object and get the information off the serial number. So it works really well.
And there's one called Magnifier, and that's a free one for Droid. And again, we can play with it at the end of the session.
The unit converter. So this is always good. You can Google this kind of thing, but it's fun to have an app where you can just instantly pull up weights and measurements and things and convert them, because we're stuck doing that sometimes. This was one of my first ones that I played with that I really loved. I haven't played with it immensely. I have to say, like Amber, my husband gets way more into this than I do, and he downloads me things and I'm like, what is this? But these are 3D molecules that actually spin around so you can see the actual forms of all the chains of the molecules. And this one I found under education. Pretty cool. The science glossary, I just downloaded this and I really like it. This is also under education, but any kind of term you can think of, you can kind of look up or look into. They have a lot of great stuff in this. This is one that Eliza found, the FEMA app, which is free also. And this gives you all this data about FEMA and disasters and information you may need to know on the spot if you're like out at a disaster, which is a really good app.
It's geared towards just sort of the general public, but it's still a handy one to know about.
Chemical Elements Pro is an online interactive periodic table. This one was 99 cents, but I thought it was worth it. And you can pull up information about any of the elements or search on the periodic table itself. I think I have another one that's coming up, but there are a few periodic table ones, and I wasn't really needing this app too much until we got the handheld XRF at Garber, and I suddenly was reading the periodic table much more than I had in years, so I was trying to pull up all this information about the elements all the time and look at relationships between elements and groups, so it really came in handy. Chemical safety data sheets. All these will have updates. If you have an iPhone, you know that you'll get little cues to update your apps. So people that are adding to them, I would say that would be the only thing to maybe watch, is that some things maybe come outdated if they're not sending updates, and just to reload the app yourself. But all the ones that we've had on my phone, I actually get updates. And about once a week, I'll just download all the updates at once. It doesn't take long. Even ones you pay for, they're just free updates if people are improving the programs. This was for children under reference, but it's almost like a quiz thing, but it seemed kind of cool because it had a lot of biochem, chemistry stuff in it. I was kind of searching in those categories, which is why I'm focused on that. And it just seemed like for 99 cents, it had a lot of good information. The NIOSH chemical hazards, $2.99. Getting a little pricey here. Has a lot of good information. I'm going a little quickly so we can play, but these are the ones, and these are all on the worksheet. I gave you the handout. Rusting fasteners. I really wanted an app for alloys, and I may have to create it because I'm always asking like what the aluminum alloy is or what this is, and you know what's in it and the percentages and things. I didn't seem to find one. There could be some out there, but I did find this interesting one that I just wanted to show you for the sake of showing you on galvanic corrosion, which I thought was neat. Certainly applicable in the field, so it was under reference, but it seems to be geared towards engineering. Although I think, you know, if people start buying these, people are going to create better and more useful, sort of similar apps, because that's the way they track them. This is a really cool one, ID Wood, and it's $4.99, but I thought it was worth it. And this is a wood ID, and actually on the iPhone and iPad, if you've ever played one, you can kind of stretch the screen and magnify, and I could actually see the grains from the cross sections of the wood and like the different radial and tangential views, so it really did look like it could be useful for identifying wood. As Gary will tell you, nothing will be able to identify waterlogged wood. It's like a dream come true if you can identify waterlogged wood, but we're getting there. So I mean, it's really, I think it was a good it's a good app. We could not find this one for the Droid. We actually looked and looked and looked, and it was one of the ones that we did not see an immediate match for. This is the quick periodic table of elements. So that one has like the screenshot of the elements. CC polymers is an interesting one. Also, because of what I do a lot, I was looking for a lot of plastic sites and trying to get polymer information. Of course, it's not really probably useful to the general public. But this engineering one did have polymer coatings and corrosion mechanisms. So I haven't really read through it a lot, but I did want to show you that you can get pretty specialized, and if you can find them, like Eliza said, and search on the right terms. It wasn't coming up under polymers for some reason. I just happened upon it by accident under corrosion. So it does take a little finding, but it seems to be a good one. This one is called, oh, I cut off the top, I'm sorry, molecular materials, molecular prime. They seem to have this for both the Droid and the iPhone, just elements and seeing all these
Materials or
molecular prime. And you can actually draw on the I think on the iPad there was something I read that you can draw or hook the different molecules together if you're trying to see about something you're combining. This was not one I bought because it was $10, but I thought it looked really cool. I had no use for this Pantone thing, but I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so cool, just because I've been doing a lot of exhibit work lately. And so it's something that I just wanted to show you all, just because there's so many more apps out there. You all have your own specialties and fields and interests that you can look for, and I think, you know, you can search and find a lot of great stuff. And, yeah, I didn't want to purchase them all, so I think that's about it. We just wanted to touch upon a few. I did want to note that, you know, if you're in the field, the iPhone is really useful because you're going to have your Starbucks tracker, your music, your yoga schedule, all on the phone with your work stuff. So you'll just take this one little thing with you, and that's what I used it for. But yeah, so there was a couple other really good chemistry ones. They have like whole textbooks and things you can get. You have a few more?
Well, no, you pretty much took the good ones. I guess what I would say is that I learned a lot just talking to the tech people at the Digital Media Lab at UVA, and their feeling is that, you know, the tablets are the way that technology is going, and that things and all of your devices are going to be more and more connected. So when I mentioned Dropbox, does everybody know what that is, or the cloud? I mean, I'm not sure what the Android analog is, but the iPhone, they've come up with this thing where you can sync all of your devices. And so for Dropbox, there's a server somewhere that if you sign up your laptop, your desktop, and your phone, all of the files that you want to be connected to at any given point in the day or night lives there. And if you bring one up on your tablet and modify it, it gets immediately synced to all your other devices, so that you put down your tablet and then you walk over to your PC or your desktop and you start working on it, you can pick up where you left off, and so you don't have to carry around a USB thingy or something. Yeah?
Is that true for all the editable stuff? Because I've heard that some of the stuff that you have on one thing, you can't necessarily get it on the other thing, for like media.
I haven't spent a lot of time pushing the limits.
You can't cross, like, okay, I have two kids, they all have their own iPods and iTouches. We have to have 3 accounts.
No, this is like if you have a book on one, you can necessarily
Yeah, you can't buy
get
one for one, as I was going to say, like a song or a book or something, and transfer it to another unit.
No.
Is that
I mean,
what you're talking about?
for one person who's got a phone and also has a pad that are all the same account, but sometimes that media can't transfer, like you have to...
Yeah, they're different for different, that's what I was saying, like the apps are sometimes different, so they don't
Yeah.
let you transfer something that was made for the iPhone to the iPad. But I don't know.
Is that?
Well, this is... I'm just wondering, okay, so media or editable stuff, though, you can transfer completely.
As far as I've tried. But I think you're thinking about downloading apps.
Yeah, when you
And-
download them to a store.
But that's
Yeah,
something
that's
yeah.
not what
Yeah.
apps I'm talking about.
But if you did have other devices in your household, you either have to put them all on the same or agree to share them between, and then some don't share because you purchased them on one versus...
But to go back to the example of the light meter, when I don't have time to run over and get my LSEC meter, I can do a quick thing with my phone. I can save it. It's part of the app on my phone that says, do you want to save this to Dropbox? I say, yeah. And then I get back to my desktop computer and I can open up the Excel spreadsheet and the data's there.
I have to download something on my iPad so I can open up a spreadsheet. When I just put in Dropbox, it wouldn't open on my iPad, even though I could see it other places. I had to, don't ask me, I can't remember now.
Yeah.
I had to download something from my iPad to be able to see it, but you can do it.
And then I guess just in terms of technology, you know, the tablets, they do come with you can get keyboards. They work faster if you just use them as a tablet, but you can get keyboards, and some plug in with a little connector down here. Some use Bluetooth, and again, they're slow at this point in time, but I'm sure they'll just get faster and handier and so on. So, yes?
So that's one thing we've been doing at the minute. I'm at NMAI, I'm a fellow there,
Yeah.
the Museum of the American Indian, and we've been trying to optimize our forms so that you don't actually have to do much typing at all. And it's a case of checking a box. You
Right.
know, we find that one of the things that slows the whole process down is actually using a virtual keyboard. And
Mhm.
if you can reduce that as much as possible
Yeah,
by redoing your forms or whatever it means, whatever you got to do to do that,
yeah.
and speed things along.
What kind of software do you use for the forms?
We've been using, the one thing we've been using Pages as our word processor when we're out and about.
Uh-huh,
But you can actually produce a form in Microsoft Word and then import it into Pages. And then through, it's a bit fiddly, but through iTunes you can eventually get a Word document onto your iPad.
uh-huh,
And then the other really good program that I think we've been using is, it's called InkPad.
okay.
And it's basically like, if you guys know what Adobe Illustrator is, it allows you the full range of annotation that you could do on Adobe Illustrator on the iPad, and then you can import that into a Pages document or whatever else you want to do after it. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Sorry, what was that?
It's called InkPad. I think it's about $4.99 though, but it has been worth it for us.
Are there any more questions? Yes.
The bugs in the garden one that's listed here. is
Oh,
that-
sorry, I wanted to say
Okay.
something
No,
about
that's
that. We had somebody contact us who,
That's the one.
that actually knows somebody that he developed a museum test app. And Apple,
So it's only available on Droid.
yeah, Apple is not refusing to run it, even though free, because they don't think there's a market for it. So we've all been writing into Apple to try to convince them to publish it, but as a way to sort of go around that, I did a little check on other applications that are already out there, and I could find some gardening ones where they identify bugs in the same sort of manner. Not, you'll have to put your thinking cap on to find out which ones you think are in the museum, but there are other ways. If we can't, if there's not ones directly for our field, I just wanted to show that I had found another one, and there was a lot of good information about the bugs listed. I forgot to do a screenshot. That was very helpful, but this would be more helpful if
This
they...
one's called Collections Pest, and it's very rudimentary right now, but you can go to collectionpests.com or museumpests, that's plural, .com, and they're still building the site, but right now it has basic information about the likely critters you'll find: American cockroach, black larder beetle, book lice, brown banded cockroach, and so on, and then you can click on one and it brings up some basic information. But the plan is for them to keep developing the site, and then you would just download the richer and richer versions.
So in the meantime, you can look for other, that was my point, you can probably look for other sites if you're thinking about like all the stuff you do at work and the applications. Like I really wanted to find a Munsell color book. There was not a Munsell color book on there, so just like things that I do personally that I need for work. And I would just search on terms and things that I thought, and then I found other bug sites which I thought, well, that's just as good. I mean, they have the bugs listed that we find, and they're going to have features about them and what they would eat and things, and how to identify them. Maybe not as good as this, because it wasn't written by a museum person. Does anyone want to play with some tablets?
Devices?
Or I'm happy to let you use my phone. I'm not going anywhere for a minute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.